Hello and welcome to Big Voice University. Today we are discussing some very bad tips that you should avoid when it comes to singing. Okay, so let's just get right into it, okay? These things are going to be really bad for your voice, so if you've ever heard them, do not listen to them, and I'm going to be telling you why you shouldn't listen to them. Okay, the first one is sing from the diaphragm. How many times have you been told to sing from your diaphragm? When you've been told that you don't have enough breath or you feel like your voice is weak and it doesn't get loud enough, instantly, most vocal coaches say, sing from your diaphragm. Why? This is one of the worst advices given by voice instructors, and I'm going to tell you why. Well, number one, the voice does not come from the diaphragm, okay? The voice doesn't come from the diaphragm, and neither does breath. However, the diaphragm has a lot to do with breath. And I'm going to break that down for you so you understand, of course. When we sing, first of all, sound is made when we produce sound through our vocal cords, and the vocal cords oscillate. Once they oscillate and there's sound coming through, then we get an actual sound, okay? It needs air to pass through. And what the diaphragm is a thin dome-shaped muscle. So if you put your hand like this, it's shaped just like a dome. It's rounded, and it actually is positioned beneath the lungs. And it has several functions. One of the main functions is that it draws air in and out of the lungs. So when it comes to the diaphragm, it is very important to be aware of your diaphragm. It is an involuntary muscle, so even though you can become more aware of it and kind of be more attuned to how it works, and you can help control it, but it's involuntary, so it's going to work whether or not you learn how to control it. Same thing with breath, or same thing with singing. You may know how to sing, but knowing how to control your voice is something different. So when it comes to the diaphragm, we want to work with it, and we want to actually slow our breathing down and get in touch and get in sync with the diaphragm. Another thing that the diaphragm does, besides draw air into the lungs rather, is the diaphragm acts as a cover, and what it does is it compresses like so when we inhale. And when we inhale, it compresses so that it moves all the lower organs out of the way, like your guts basically, and moves them down so that we can open up those lungs and take in the breath that's being taken. And then when we exhale, the diaphragm kind of goes slowly back up. So it slowly rises, and its resting position is that dome shape, okay? So when we learn to work with the diaphragm, we have more control over our voices, and it actually allows you to become a much better, more aware vocalist. And if you want more knowledge on the diaphragm and how it works and how it looks and things like that, make sure you comment below. The next really bad singing tip is to stand up straight. Now, if you know anything about a spine is curved. It is curved. It has its own shape. No one's spine is straight like an arrow up and down. No one's spine is that straight. So in our heads, if we're told stand up straight, we're actually doing ourselves a disservice, because once you even attempt to stand up straight, you start to lock off your muscles. And I've discussed alignment and posture in previous videos, so please go check them out. But our backs were never meant to actually be straight. Ask any chiropractor if your spine is straight, and they will tell you no. So there's no point in even thinking like that, because once we start to straighten our back, we tense up other muscles, and it makes it harder for us to actually sing freely. Throws our body completely out of alignment. Rather than standing straight, you want to stand in alignment. You want to get in the singer stance, have an even stance so that your voice can function correctly. Another one, this myth right here, breathe through your nose. How many of you either breathe through the mouth or breathe through the nose when you sing? I'll wait. Comment below. You got it? Okay, comment below if you breathe through the mouth or through the nose. And I'm gonna tell you breathing through the mouth or breathing through the nose is actually incorrect. But how? If I can't breathe through my mouth or through my nose? No, I'm not telling you you can't breathe through the mouth or the nose. But to isolate and only breathe through the nose when you're singing, or to isolate and only breathe through the mouth when you're singing, is actually incorrect. And the reason why that is because when we only breathe through the nose, what happens is we don't get enough air. The nose is such a small and narrow passage to inhale that it actually prevents you from taking in as much air as quickly when you just breathe through the nose. And then if you just breathe through the mouth, well, you'll get air a lot faster, but it's not balanced. And doing that over time is going to obviously dry out the mouth. The nose is a bit more moist. It collects moisture from the air better than the mouth, but it's ideal that we inhale through the mouth and nose simultaneously when we are singing. Yes, at the same time. Through the mouth and through the nose at the same time. Because when we do that, we allow ourselves, our bodies, to draw in more air. And that works better. It's more effective when it comes to balanced breathing and breathing the way a singer is supposed to. And your diaphragm will thank you for it. Your body will thank you for it. And guess what? Your tone will thank you for it. Because when you actually inhale through the mouth and nose at the same time, you're able to draw air in more quickly. And then you use that air to sing out through the mouth and nose at the same time. This way you're not sounding too nasally, or you're not, too glottal. But we have people who, unfortunately, they still either breathe through the mouth or the nose. But the best sound you're ever going to get is when you inhale and exhale through the mouth and nose while you're singing. So no breathing through the nose and no breathing through only the mouth. You want to learn how to do both. And yes, I have videos on that as well. Make sure you check those out. And then finally, sing like Ariana Grande, or sing like Aretha Franklin, or sing like Taylor Swift, sing like Beyonce. Do you know how many students I've had that's come to me and said, I want to sing like this person. I want to sing like that person. And I always tell my students, sing like you. Your singing voice is so special and so unique that you don't want to get caught up in sounding like someone else, because mimicking someone else is not good for your voice. It's not good for your vocal tracts. It's not healthy, and it's not sustainable. If you want to sound your best, then you have to learn singing technique and allow your voice to actually come through. Now, sure, there are impersonators and there are people who do comedy, and sometimes as singers, we do want to mimic because it's fun. We do want to mimic because it brings joy to our hearts to sound like somebody else. And you can mimic. I know, she's contradicting herself. Stay with me here. You can mimic once you learn the proper singing technique, and once you learn how to do it in such a way that it's not going to hurt you. Okay? Because mimicking actually, when we do it without actually implementing the proper technique, what happens is we can injure ourselves, because your vocal tract is not meant to produce a sound just like Taylor Swift's or just like this. And sure, you may even have the same voice type as the person that you're mimicking, but mimicking can be playing around with fire when it comes to singing, because it could actually injure you, because you're kind of forcing or straining your voice and your muscles to sound like someone else, to perform like someone else. And I advise against that until you know exactly what you're doing and you can do it without hurting yourself. But straight out the gate in the beginning, trying to sound like if I tried to sound like Lady Gaga, for instance, I'm on the deep end, watches out there, I'll never leave the ground. I'm not gonna lie, it was fun, but it was uncomfortable, because that's not how I would naturally produce that melody and those lyrics, and the diction is not natural to me. It's not natural to me. If I were to sing it, I would sing it a little bit differently. My voice sounds different. Not that I don't have the same range, or I don't necessarily have the registration to cover those notes or the pitch to cover those notes, but I certainly am not Lady Gaga. So it's gonna sound different when I do it because it's original. And this is something that you should keep in mind for when you're like, what do I sound like as a vocalist? I wanna hear my singing voice. How do I sound? How do I make a song sound like me? How do I make it mine? Every singer, every vocalist that I've ever met wants to sound like them. And you have a unique voice, so you should never want to hide it by mimicking someone else. Okay, so I hope this helps you to understand that some of the things that we were taught are just not helpful for us at all as vocalists, and we need to throw them away. We need to unlearn them, and we need to relearn what's actually going to help get us closer to that golden place, our special own unique voices, and help us to get the right technique so that we're singing freely and comfortably, and we preserve our voices over a lifetime. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Give this a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to this channel if you found any of this helpful. Drop a comment if you have any questions. Happy singing.